as you settle into this moment, let yourself notice the gentle weight of your body, the way the surface beneath you holds steady, the way your breath can find its own quiet rhythm without effort or strain, and the way the night has drawn a soft curtain around the day so that everything feels slower, cooler, and calmer now. You might imagine the glow of a lamp turned low in a quiet room, or the hush of distant waves arriving at a shoreline, each one moving in, then easing away again, and always returning in a rhythm as dependable as your own breathing. These images of calm and steadiness help your thoughts loosen their grip, giving you permission to let go of the busyness of the day, and to ease into a space of comfort and stillness where rest comes naturally. Tonight, we will wander together through a gentle story, not one filled with urgency or commotion, but one that moves as steadily as the tides. A story of a ship that sails forever without a crew, gliding across open waters under a sky filled with stars. Its journey quiet, continuous, and serene. There is no need for haste here, no need for worry, because the ship sails on its own, carried by currents, guided by breezes, embraced by the wide, calm sea. You may picture its wooden deck glistening faintly in starlight, the sails shifting just enough to catch the wind, the water flowing steadily past its sides with a soft whisper. And you may let these details help you release any tension that lingers in your shoulders, your jaw, or your hands. This vessel is always safe, always steady, always carried forward in quiet peace. Everything is steady tonight. In this quiet space, we can linger a little longer and notice more about the ship that sails forever without a crew, letting each image arrive slowly and rest gently in the mind. The deck stretches broad and clear beneath the moonlight, its surface smooth from years of calm passage, and there is no movement except the easy shifting of sails overhead. The ship glides along without hurry, its path marked by the soft line of foam left behind, and all around, the sea opens wide and endless, shimmering with reflections of stars. You might imagine standing at the rail, though no one truly does, simply sensing the cool night air brushing across your face, a gentle reminder of openness and calm. Each plank, each rope, each quiet sway feels unhurried, as if time itself has softened here, slowed to a pace that matches the steady rhythm of waves. In this way, the ship becomes more than a vessel. It becomes a symbol of rest, carrying itself forward without effort, without need, across the waters of night. Everything is steady tonight. The sails shift slightly, a whisper of fabric against the air, and then fall still again, just enough to remind you of the presence of the wind, visible yet faithful, guiding the vessel's journey. Far overhead, constellations seem to linger longer than usual, their light, cool, and constant, as if they are guardians of this voyage, silent companions watching from a distance. To think of such a ship is to think of freedom from burden, a release from tasks, for there is no crew to labor here, no duties calling anyone away from rest, only the quiet assurance that the ship will keep moving forward without effort. You might recall the sound of wood creaking gently, not as a warning, but as a soft reminder of age and endurance, of strength that lasts and does not falter, a strength that allows all else to relax and trust. In these images, the mind can drift more easily, stepping away from today's concerns and toward a slower rhythm where thoughts stretch out like ripples, widening, softening, fading gently into distance. Everything is steady tonight. The voyage itself has no destination, no urgency, only the ongoing calm of movement that asks nothing of you but still brings the comfort of steady progress, steady sound, and steady air. You can let your breathing mirror that rhythm, drawing in as though with the tide, letting go as though with the same tide receding. Over and over again, quiet, unforced, and endless. And in this stillness, there is room to rest, to imagine, to let the body ease into deeper calm as the ship carries itself through night waters that never need to be hurried. It becomes a scene not of absence, but of gentle presence, A reminder that sometimes the most restful journeys are the ones that simply continue on their own, steady and assured, asking nothing more than for you to notice and let go. In this way, the story unfolds not with urgency or drama, but with a long, calm exhale, inviting you to join in its rhythm and feel its peace. The ship that sails forever without a crew drifts on waters that never tire. And as we linger with it, we begin to notice its quiet beauty in repeating cycles of calm, each one a little different, yet always steady. In the first cycle, imagine the vessel gliding beneath a pale moon. The sails loose yet purposeful, the sea smooth as glass, and the only sound a gentle lapping against its sides, a reminder that movement can be both effortless and soothing. And as you think of this image, you may feel your own body settle as well. Everything is steady tonight. In the next cycle, you might picture the deck under your feet, smooth from years of patient travel, the wooden planks carrying the faint scent of salt and sun, even in the cool of night. And the air surrounding you is neither heavy nor sharp, simply balanced, holding the quiet calm of the ocean. So your breath too can become even and light. Another cycle brings us to the thought of ropes swaying just slightly in the breeze. No hands pulling them, no commands given, just the natural play of fabric and cord in the night air. A rhythm without effort that allows you to sense how rest arrives when nothing is demanded. The ship continues forward, again and again, in cycle after cycle. Its path neither forced nor interrupted, but simply continuing, always in balance with the waters beneath. Everything is steady tonight. In a fresh cycle, imagine the horizon spreading out endlessly. No points of arrival, no markers of departure, only the soft blending of sea and sky. And in that blending, you can find the same merging of thoughts and rest, where edges soften and fade. Another cycle carries us to the starlight, glimmering on gentle waves, the light bending and moving in countless tiny patterns, never repeating exactly, yet always calm, always slow, always quiet. So the mind too can mirror this gentle unpredictability within steady peace. Again, we return to the creak of wood, a sound that comes not as a warning, but as a lullaby of endurance, reminding us that long journeys can continue with patience. That strength can sound soft, that durability can be quiet. Everything is steady tonight. We might cycle into the sense of cool air brushing across the skin. Not sharp, not heavy, but just enough to bring freshness to the night, like a window cracked open in a calm room, keeping the atmosphere easy, gentle, breathable. Then we drift into another cycle, where the sails themselves seem almost translucent against the starlight, catching not only the wind, but also the quiet glow of night. So they seem like soft lanterns guiding the vessel onward. Each of these cycles repeats the same heart, the same steady truth that the ship does not need hands to move. It does not need voices to guide. It carries itself forward in quiet partnership with the sea and sky. Everything is steady tonight. You may notice how each cycle builds upon the last, how every image adds a layer of comfort, how the rhythm of repetition slows the pace of thought, how the mind grows heavier, softer, quieter. In another cycle, we can picture the reflection of the moon shimmering in long, unbroken stretches of silver across the water, and the ship passing through this glow as though bathed in soft light, so that the night becomes luminous and kind. Another cycle lets us linger on the sound of distant calls, not sharp, not loud, but faint, as if remembered rather than heard. It's blending with the waves in a way that feels timeless, safe, and unbroken. Everything is steady tonight. The cycles continue, and with each one, the image of the ship becomes more familiar, more comforting, a companion to the night, a presence that reassures without words. It's offering its gentle movement again and again until the mind begins to rest as steadily as the vessel itself. And as we drift deeper into these repeating images, we learn that rest does not arrive all at once, but in cycles too, in waves that return again and again, each one softening the body further, each one quieting the mind more completely, until all that remains is the steady forward motion of the ship and the steady calm within you. The ship that sails forever without a crew continues across the open waters, and now we move into a deeper layer of calm, noticing not only its motion, but also the way its stillness teaches us about ease, as if every detail is a lesson in how to release. The sails lift with the lightest breath of air, yet they never strain, they only respond. And in that soft response, we understand how to let the body respond to rest as well, with no force, only allowance. Everything is steady tonight. As we go further, it helps to see the voyage, not in haste, but in gentle sequences, each one showing another angle of calm. First, the water itself carries on in rhythms, a list of sensations appearing one by one, the sight of smooth ripples spreading outward, the faint hush of waves settling near the hull, the cool, damp scent rising in the breeze, the shimmer of moonlight folding across the surface, and the steady pull of the tide beneath it all. These 5 impressions linger, not rushing away, but staying present long enough to fill the mind with ease. Next, the wood of the vessel itself can be felt in imagination, warmed by the memory of daylight, cooled by the present night, and steady in its creak and strength, a foundation that never falters, a surface that invites trust. Everything is steady tonight. Another layer appears in the night sky, a dome so wide and constant that it feels like shelter, where stars are countless and yet each one seems familiar, and the air around them hums with a silence that comforts. These clarifications bring no new demand, no new urgency, only a deeper sense of how many ways calm can arrive, how many forms it can take. A cycle of calm shows us the ropes swaying lightly. Another cycle shows us the sails glowing faintly in starlight. Another shows us the gentle rise and fall of the deck beneath, each one returning to the same truth of steadiness. Everything is steady tonight. We return again to the image of the horizon where sea and sky blend into one. But now we notice how even that blending is a kind of rest. For when edges dissolve, nothing needs to be measured or defined, and the mind can drift without boundaries. Another cycle of calm focuses on the small patterns in water, where every ripple is a variation of the last, never abrupt, always folding into the next, a visible echo of how rest itself repeats in waves, never forced, always returning. Everything is steady tonight, and so we clarify further, seeing that the ship is not only alone, but also full of presence. For its solitude is not emptiness, but quiet fullness, a companionship with the elements that never tires, never falters, always supports. This depth of calm invites the same depth within us, reminding us that being carried is enough, that being steady is enough, that being quiet is enough. Each cycle affirms what has already been said. Each repetition smooths the path even further, until all that remains is a steady cadence, like the sea itself, like the ship itself, like the night that holds both sea and ship together in endless, gentle balance. The night draws longer and softer, and the ship that sails forever without a crew continues to move with quiet steadiness, its journey blending into the very rhythm of rest itself, offering images that circle back to the beginning and spiral gently into deeper calm. You may remember the first image of the deck, wide and clear beneath the glow of stars. And now that memory returns, not as something sharp or new, but as something softened, worn smooth like a stone, held often in the palm. A reminder that familiarity itself is restful. Everything is steady tonight. The sails shift again in imagination, glowing faintly against the sky, not demanding attention, only suggesting their presence with a quiet ripple, and then falling still. As if even fabric knows how to rest, the water carries on beneath, lapping in patient rhythms, never hurried, never loud, its surface reflecting the light of stars in countless shimmering fragments, and those fragments resemble thoughts that appear, shine briefly, then drift away into distance. We return to the ropes swaying with the breeze, a movement that is small yet endless, repeating in its own way, a rhythm within a rhythm, a softness within a softness. Everything is steady tonight. The horizon spreads outward without end, dissolving the line between sea and sky. And in that dissolution, the mind feels freer, edges no longer defined, boundaries softened. And with that softening comes the ease of letting go. The cycles continue, and each time they return, they bring the same truth that the ship sails on without need of hands, without need of voices. Carried forward by currents and wind, steady and sure. Again, we notice the wood beneath, creaking gently, not to disturb, but to soothe. It's a sound of age and trust, a sound that reassures. Again, we feel the air, cool and even, brushing across the imagined skin like the calmest night breeze. Refreshing, yet never sharp, balanced in its touch. Everything is steady tonight. As the spirals deepen, the ship becomes less an image of a vessel and more an image of rest itself. A symbol that moves, yet never acts, a presence that reassures simply by existing. The stars overhead remain constant. The moonlight continues its silver path across the water. The tide moves in and out, and all these elements join in the same unbroken cadence of the night. You may feel that your own breath has joined this cadence too. Slow and steady, rising and falling, like the sea beneath the ship, like the ship upon the sea, like the night that holds them both. Everything is steady tonight, and now, as the story narrows toward its close, the images remain, but they soften further, like lanterns dimmed to a glow, like voices fading into whispers, until all that is left is the sense of being carried forward without effort, without burden, without end. The ship sails on, and with it, your thoughts sail too, drifting farther into quiet, farther into ease, until only stillness remains, a stillness that wraps around like a blanket, that lingers like the hush of night, that brings the gentle gift of rest. Good night.